time for the game of the week. We've got the 6-1 Lions at the 6-2 Packers. Both teams on extended winning streaks right now. Huge for the NFC North and what's going to occur there. Now, when this game was scheduled first week in November, you would think, okay, this could be a weather game. It's one of the only games all season where Jared Goff has to deal with some outdoor temps. Late in the season, it's going to be Chicago, which you would expect to be more difficult. And then, okay, we've got early November, but it's unseasonably warm here. But it started to turn today. If you look at the weather report, which I think is pretty important, 96% chance of rain, 13-mile-an-hour winds. Golf indoors, 41 and 18 ATS. Golf outdoors, it's a coin flip, 36, 35, and 2 against the spread. Had a big move yesterday in the number, Sam. It was 3.5, and then Jordan Love got a limited practice in on Thursday. So the number cuts right through the 3, goes from 3.5 to 2.5.
It's amazing what happens when you see grown men at practice. People just bet. And there's no admission that he's going to play, but just seeing him out there is enough for respected players to take the points. And you and I discussed this game yesterday, and I said, man, I almost want to just take the 3.5 now, and you can always get off it, right? Like if things start trending down, you could find a way to get off it. Well, here we are, 2.5, and that is not done moving if he plays. If they actually rule him in, which, again, won't happen today or tomorrow, my opinion, I think it's going to go all the way to Sunday because that's what Matt LaFleur has done over the last handful of years with quarterbacks. He waits until game day, and then when the actives and inactives come out 90 minutes before kick, we will learn whether Jordan Love is in or out. But let's just say we get a notification this afternoon that Jordan Love is probable,
questionable.
Which again, I don't. Well, they're not going to say
let's
probable.
Do both. Let's do both.
Okay.
Questionable and probable.
Go ahead. Questionable probably sits 2.5. Probable
sits, okay.
1.5, maybe 1. I mean,
probable
the look ahead.
He's playing.
The look ahead was pick. So
yeah,
it's going to go. It's not going to be 2.5. If it comes out this afternoon, and it usually does right around the time that I go on in Buffalo with our guys Show Up in the Bulldog, like right around 3:30, you get that last wave of injury information for a lot of these teams, like 3 to 3:30 Eastern.
Yeah.
If it comes across on Underdog NFL that Jordan Love is probable, which again, we're not saying that, we're playing the hypothetical game. It will go to 1.5, maybe even 1. They'll bet it down. LaFleur as a dog is just so good. And we've also discussed this. 21 times Green Bay has been +3 or more. The Packers are 17-4 ATS in that role. 17-4. And I just had this story published for Fox. I was talking to one of my buddies in Vegas who has been booking bets a long time. And he's like, I don't want my name in there, but you can use my quotes. And here's the quote. You can read the story on foxsports.com. The public's been taking our money all season on Detroit. I actually went back and looked the other day, and the Lions have covered 6 of 7 games. That's a really good football team, but they're getting more and more popular at the window. I've raised their rating all season, and they keep covering. That's the sign of a special team. He goes on to say, I will be rooting for Green Bay to get home.
Yes.
So there you have it. Now, that doesn't mean the Lions are not going to win. It doesn't mean the Lions are not going to cover. But when a bookmaker tells you he's been raising their rating all season, you're not getting a fair number on Detroit anymore. You are paying a Lions tax from this point forward, and you have to understand that.
Yep. If it's pick on the look ahead, even him being in, you would assume he's not 100% too. So there's a lot of stuff at play here. If it is Willis, I think the other interesting conversation is what if we somehow get back to a possibility of Malik Willis? Because right now the market's saying it's most likely going to be Love. But what if it's Willis? Early in the year, when it was Willis, Love out, it was a move of 7. Now, what's that move? They were kind of playing it in the middle. But now they're like, whoa, we got to get under that 3. And that's exactly what they did. Money came in with Love looking pretty good. I think you're right. If Love is in, Love is probable. Those are probably the same thing, because when they say probable, they're playing. It will be 1. That's what I would expect. And it sounds like the public's going to be all over Detroit, the short road favorite. Ooh, short road favorite. Those have done well this year. Historically, they don't do all that well. I'm going to be on the Packers. Whatever number we end up getting, I'm going to be on the Packers. You're right, LaFleur, unbelievable as an underdog of 3 or more. He's also the best in the Super Bowl era as an underdog, period, that we've seen. But on the other side, Dan Campbell's great at covering the number 2. This is what the Lions have done, and that's why they keep betting the Lions again and again. Something else to keep an eye on, it's not just Jordan Love. Center Josh Myers did not practice on Thursday. And what do you know? Jair Alexander, their all-world corner, did not practice either. Those are both big for this matchup.
No doubt. I saw this from Brad Powers the other day, who usually comes on our show to talk college football. Out of nowhere, he sends this from the clouds. Since Dan Campbell took over in 2021, the Detroit Lions are 43-18 against the spread. 43-18. That is 71%.
Yep. It's phenomenal. They're phenomenal. They cover. You know where they don't cover? Outside. I mean, this is rainy condition. Okay, let's think about the conditions. How much does it help Green Bay? So people are going to run to the golf side of things. But let's not forget that the Lions kick ass in the trenches. So you would think that could help them, these conditions, a little bit. They're a tough team. They have a great run game. Packers have a strong run game too. Can you make the argument that it's not as bad for the Lions? Because a lot of this golf stuff about him outdoors happened when he was with the Rams. You're muted, or it's not working. Either one.
I muted myself again on the
Oh,
97 Dell. I thought I clicked it off. Inside baseball. I don't think 50 degrees and rain is that big of a hamper on golf. When it's 35 and snow and 20-mile-an-hour winds, that's a much different conversation. I just like the Packers in the roll. And yesterday they clipped a segment of us saying tease Green Bay up. At that point, it was 3.5 up through 7 and 8. Now it's 2.5 to 8.5. I don't think Green Bay gets blown out at home. I am nervous about betting against Detroit because that's a damn good team. But Green Bay in a teaser seems right. And when a bookmaker says, I have continuously raised the rating on a team, he is telling you without telling you, you are paying a tax on that team. And that's how I feel about Detroit. I am not in the Detroit camp this week. I would never lay 2.5. That's me. A lot of people will do it. I will not.
This game's going to be awesome. It's going to be huge for a lot of NFC North. Playoff seeding should be a terrific matchup. Really looking forward to it. BetQL, Daily Joe, Sammy P. Let's keep rolling. How about the Broncos and the Ravens? Some people are going to take a look at this and be a little confused. Like, wait, the Broncos are doing good. They're 5-3 on the year. BoNix has played well on the road. Why are the Ravens, the team that lost to the Browns last week, why are they favored by so many points? The number's 8.5. The total is 46.5. Yet the Ravens off a bad loss, bad divisional loss. But look, this team falls apart at the end of games, and BoNix has had a lot of success on the road. Lamar Jackson, another huge quarterback issue. So Wednesday, Harbaugh says, oh, Lamar's good. He's not practicing because of rust. That's what he said. But every reporter ran with that. Lamar's not practicing, but it's rest. He's fine. If you looked at the injury report on Wednesday, it said knee/back. And then he did not practice on Thursday. They did not say rest this time. It's because of the knee/back. So what do we do with this? We didn't see a huge reaction. Today will be certainly very telling, but Lamar Jackson has not practiced this week for the Ravens.
I think he's playing. I have no inside information there. I can recall several instances in his career when he didn't practice and he was out there on Sunday. This is a guy who has proven that he's a gamer. He doesn't milk injuries. And they also, as crazy as this sounds to say, they don't need him to practice. He just does. They don't need him to practice.
That's true.
You know what you get on Sunday. He goes out there. He's ready to go. Like, you don't need him to practice. You can bring the scout team guy in who can run a lot of the things that he can do. At least, aesthetically, the scout guy is not Lamar, but they've got a guy there that can do some of the things Lamar can do to get ready for practice. And so they're going to be fine. I'd be surprised if he doesn't play. Now, Schefter is saying Ravens are calling back knee issues, keeping Lamar out of practice second straight day. Nobody said he's not playing. Nobody said, he's unlikely to play. And then you got James Palmer, who covers the NFL. Broncos are preparing for Lamar Jackson. Talking to players in the locker room today, they believe he's going to play. So, look, you could be excited for Lamar not practicing, but it's one thing to not practice. It's another thing to not play. I laid this morning, I laid some 7.5. It's at 8 at a lot of shops now. If he's out, this runs to 7. If he's in, this goes back to 9.5. So it's that halfway number with Baltimore. I'm willing to gamble that he plays, and I did at -7.5. 7.5s are starting to move back up. I mean, it's 8 basically everywhere. There's 7.5 in the market right now. If he plays, Baltimore wins, and I think they win big. And I'm going to gamble that he plays.
This is one of those games that I talked about early in the show that I'm a little uncomfortable with liking so many favorites, but I think this is a great spot for Baltimore at home. My one concern is them in the fourth quarter, and it happened again last week. They are giving up the most points per game in the NFL in the fourth quarter. They are giving up 12 points per game. These things, as the game goes along, carries on, they end up falling apart. Last year, it was a cash cow, taking Lamar after a loss. It's happened a couple times this year. They're 1-1 so far. So I don't think that's a sample size to even look at at all. But everything about this setup tells me that Baltimore is going to take care of business. They're not taking their fourth loss of the year. Could you imagine Broncos go there, pull off the upset, and we're talking about the 5-4 Ravens and also being a Super Bowl contender in the same breath? I don't see it either. I don't see it either.
I hope that Baltimore goes up and then forces Denver to play from behind. And then you get BoNix down 14-0, 14-3 on the road, hostile environment. That's sort of my handicap. I think Baltimore strikes first. I think they sort of wear Denver down. You get a lot of Derrick Henry in the third and fourth quarter, maybe a big run or two, put this thing out of reach.
The Ravens give up the most passing yards to quarterbacks, 312 passing yards per game to opposing quarterbacks. Nix's prop is 211.5. Could be garbage time. Would you be tempted by the 211.5 for Nix over?
Not for 1 second. I'm betting that prop.
Yeah, you think this is going to be welcome to the league, rookie, and they just destroy them, right?
No, I'm not. Well, yes, but that doesn't keep me. I'm not betting BoNix is under for passing yards either. I'm just not. I am not messing around with anything Denver. I am betting Ravens first half -5.5 and Ravens full game. I bet 7.5. I'll probably bet some more 8, and that'll be something we find out later today. If he practices today, kiss the 8s goodbye. The 8s are gone if Lamar practices today.
Yeah. Are we going back to 10, you think?
No, I don't think so. I think about 9.
There. Okay.
There goes a move right there. Pinnacle just moved to 8 -120. Offshore 8 -20. It's moving toward the Ravens side right now. I mean, it can't get much lower. If he's in, it definitely doesn't go lower. If he's in, we're going back the other way, obviously.
And you alluded to it earlier. I'm expecting full practice. Lamar's good. And people are going to be shocked. We've seen this before. You know, the two big quarterbacks that are in question here, these teams play these games all the time, don't they? It's the Ravens with Lamar. It's the Packers with Love. And then all of a sudden it's Friday and everybody's good. Oh, it was a miracle. They're good. Everybody's good to go.